Hi, my name's Eric Demilt. I'm a development director with Obsidian Entertainment. I'm here with Aidan, Karabaich, one of our class designers, and today we're going to talk about the Paladin and Cryomancer. We got gameplay footage here of a run-through of a solo dungeon from our recent technical beta weekend, the Lanber Catacombs. And Aidan, why don't you tell us a little bit about what we're seeing here?
Yeah, absolutely. So Paladin kind of charging right into combat here. That's Onslaught. It's your one key, and that'll dash you into combat. It's upgraded actually on this Paladin now, so that's why you're seeing all the enemies get pulled into you. So Paladin, tank class, pull all the enemies to you at the start of the fight. It's a good way to start keeping aggro. Paladin's a combo class. You see her going through different attacks. Those are on your left and right mouse button there. A bunch of different attacks that you can do off of that. You've got a Seal of Light, which throws an X forward, deals damage in a line. You've got a really strong single target attack, probably the core of your single target combo, called Punishing Bolt. You'll see that get used a whole lot here. You've got Celestial Shield, and you can see when Celestial Shield is destroyed, that actually detonates and does damage to all the enemies right around you.
Cool. One thing we should point out is in these solo instances, right, we can do a lot of environmental puzzles. So as you saw that object in the center of the room, right, player's gone off, used it to get a buff, right, giving her a combat advantage. And that'll come up again in later boss fights throughout this instance.
Yeah, so we see we've got the buff right now, lasts for a little while. Usually probably increasing your damage here, and also give you heals depending on which one you end up getting. There we go, that's the Punishing Bolt attack. And of course we've got dashes here. You can see we've got kind of contextual cues that pop up whenever the Paladin's energy gets low. You'll have that Q icon come up for you that lets you use your Holy Ground, which essentially makes it so all of your abilities can be cast without consuming energy.
She's fighting these mobs, right? Occasionally health globes are popping off. These allow you to restore health mid-fight. So we're going to move on forward to one of the first bosses in the level. Again, this one's going to teach you a bit about the environmental puzzles. So he's blocking your progress forward through the dungeon here. So you're going to, literally blocking that door. So you're going to do some damage, build up your energy there. And then as he summons ads here, which hopefully he'll do on cue.
I'm sure he'll get there. He definitely looks like somebody who wants to eat you. We'll see if we get hit by that ability or not here. But essentially what's going to happen with this fight, he's going to summon these ads, as you're seeing right here, and as soon as you use the environmental component, he's going to stop throwing the ads. So you essentially chuck the acid in his mouth there, he chokes on it a little bit and stops summoning the ads. It also gives you a good opportunity to get your health back while he's doing that. All those health globes that dropped on the ground, you kind of run and get those before you get back in the fight.
While those ads are up, he's going to be invulnerable for a bit as well, so you're going to need to take care of them. And then get back in the fight with him. You can see the Paladin going through a combo rotation there when she's attacking him, focusing on those single target high damage combos. There goes another jar of acid off. It looks like you got more ads summoned in this time.
Using Waves of Wrath right there, it's one of your big AoE abilities. Couple good AoE abilities for the Paladin to take care of large groups of enemies, but also to keep threat on them in group dungeons. Getting pretty close on this boss, a little more than halfway finished, still doing pretty well. Going back to the environmental puzzle, still getting them down, only getting 3 ads out. That's pretty good. If you're doing that, you're probably doing all right. If you get up to 6 or something, that's when you start taking a lot of damage.
So she's going to go through a rotation again, keep burning him down.
You saw her use a ranged single target ability. That's Righteous Verdict. It's your strongest single target ability. Pretty long cooldown on it, but definitely anytime that's up and you've got a big boss monster or something strong in front of you, that's what you want to use. And there we go. We saw the boss blow up in a wave of poison there.
Yeah, he's dropped a bit of loot. Okay, now we're on to our second boss. So this guy, once again, a bit different, right? He's not blocking a doorway. He's a smaller guy, one of the converted to Aswang. So here's a guy who's got one of those blood-sucking fly moth creatures on his head. So this artifact, similar to the one you saw in the other room, right? What'll happen is periodically that'll push you back, and then you and the mob have a race to get over to it. Use it first, get a buff and a benefit from it.
I think it's a pretty cool mechanic here. And then as the fight goes on, it's going to get progressively harder for you to do. More of those orbs that are going to knock you back and prevent you from getting in there. They won't prevent the boss from getting there. It's going to make it more difficult for you to get in.
Yep, and the boss here has a couple different telegraph mechanics. There you can see those orbs Aidan was talking about, dodging through those. If you get hit by those, you're going to get knocked back.
It's a cool thing with the Paladin. If you time your shield, it only is going to do the damage if the shield gets destroyed while it's active. So 5-second duration, you can pop it right before and basically absorb one of these big, normally telegraphed and very dangerous attacks, and you get the bonus damage, and the shield takes most of the damage away from it. So here we go. Let's see if we can do it. You got it a third time.
Moved out of the way of those big attacks most of the time.
Yeah, doing a pretty good job. There's one other attack that this guy does. It's like a scream. This is Waves of Anger, I believe. That is you press and hold that to do AoE damage. And here's the attack I was talking about. It's a scream. Basically does a lot of damage to your health, but also spawns a bunch of health orbs around the map that you can quickly get your health back up.
There you go. You see, she got knocked back that time, and our baddie got the buff.
So you can see the boss is doing about 2.5 times damage on even his basic attacks now. And that's actual short-term invulnerability ability.
Looks like this fight's winding down. Once again, you can see that's getting more and more complex. There's the Paladin's ultimate, flying up into the air, crashing down into the ground for some massive damage. Going through those combo rotations, you get the most damage out of each strike.
Nearly there now. Might be able to finish him before the next pull. And I think right here you can probably, finish him before you even go.
Here we're going to switch over to the Cryomancer class. So it's a powerful DPS class, a Frost Mage, a lot of movement during combat. You can see she's got her own weapon, the Ice Shard and the Cryo Frame. See how she does against this big group of mobs right now.
It's a cool way to start against AoE mobs. Use the Ice Statue. It taunts and slows the enemies around you, freezes them. Also environmental hazards in this part of the map, so you always got to be careful about that. It's kind of previewing what's going to be happening on that last boss here. Very cool finisher on the Cryomancer, locks him in that huge block of ice. Cryomancer is a DPS class, but a lot of really good utility. It's a snowball. It's really kind of a funny effect. Any enemies that it picks up in the way, it just kind of rolls with it and then blows up at the end.
It's a really popular effect in PvP. Rolling up your friends and that is a great deal of fun. You can see as a pretty powerful DPS class with a lot of utility against single target and multi-target. She's able to burn through these packs of mobs pretty quick. You get down here to these groups of Mantides. You can see the icons above their heads showing their different combat roles.
So that's a cool ability, Snowstorm. It creates this giant snowstorm that does really good damage to groups. These are much more difficult trash mobs than a lot of the ones we've run into earlier, so you see we're pretty low on health right now. Let's see if we can get through this. Cryomancer works a little bit differently with the main attacks. They're press and hold that basically upgrade what that ability is going to do. So left mouse, you've got your basic attack that we're just throwing right now. And then if you hold it, that does an AoE. And on your right mouse button, you've got Icy Thorn that is going to consume your energy and do a lot of single target damage. And again, if you hold that down, it's also going to apply a dot on the enemy. Another cool component on the Cryomancer, you can upgrade your normal dash. All classes get a dash, but the Cryomancer gets this awesome slide ability. So you go an additional distance, but you also create this area on the floor in which when enemies walk through it, they're going to take damage and they're going to move slowly.
You can see the Cryomancer using some of her utility spells to survive that fight. She was able to use the Icy Statue to get those mobs off her for quite a bit of time, lower their damage that she was taking, finish them off one by one. So once again, a similar fight. This one's got a tank in it, so we'll see how the Cryomancer handles this one.
Yeah, making sure you pick up the health orbs whenever they pop up. On regular Trash and Maze, you have to kill the enemy in order for those orbs to come up. On bosses, you'll see next to their health a number of health bars, and every time you get rid of one of those health bars, you're going to get a health orb. And those will go away if you don't pick them up quickly, so a lot of times that can be the difference between you winning or losing a fight.
Cryomancer used her ultimate early in this fight to freeze the entire battlefield, so she was basically able to burn down one of the enemies while the others were frozen. There's that Icy Statue again, taking some of them out of the fight. Not all of them are out of the fight yet, but it looks like she's doing pretty well this time.
And a lot of movement on Cryomancer. You can see just about all the attacks you're doing, you're still able to do it on the move. So it's going to give her a very different feel than what you get with those melee classes.
So again, here she's powerful against single targets, right? There's that finisher, just burning these down one at a time.
And those finishers are going to regenerate some of your energy, so allows you to kind of be full power when you're going against a new enemy.
All right, so we're headed into the final fight here, and it looks like we're going to take a bit of a rest, heal up, and I think, let's see, stopping again? Yeah, maybe this is taunting the boss.
I feel like he might get upset about that. Because honestly, this is getting a little raunchy at this point, and she hasn't even beaten the boss yet. I feel like we should practically add a mechanic. He gets 300% damage if you taunt within some range with him like this. And she's still going. All right. Okay, that was a good move. There we go.
All right, so it looks like we're back to the fight here. So this is the final boss in the Lanber Catacombs. She's going to have her own unique mechanics. You'll see come into play here, pulling a lot of the things you learned earlier on, right? Those environmental hazards. Pillars of rock falling down, big AoEs she's going to cast.
Yeah, it's the main mechanic on this fight. When she drops the rocks, just make sure you're not underneath them. When those come down, those will knock you back, do a good amount of damage. And then after she does that channel attack, just make sure you're behind them when that goes off. It does a pretty good chunk of your health if you're going to take hits from it.
This fight can obviously be much different depending on the type of class you play. Playing a range class, right? Avoiding these pillars of rock. And the big AoEs, much easier when you've got a lot of standoff damage. So it's nice that you're able to kind of switch classes when you're out of combat. So maybe you wiped on this using the Paladin like I did the first 3 times, right? You can come back as a Cryomancer and tear this mob up.
And that's one of the cool things you get when you can just switch classes on the fly. All the classes should be able to clear this content, but there are just going to be certain things that individual classes are going to be better at. So as you develop those different classes as you're playing through the game, you kind of look at a situation that you're having a hard time with and change out some of your abilities, your talents, or change out your class to try and have the best chance to beat a given boss.
Alright, so that was a quick look at the Paladin and the Cryomancer gameplay. You can see fight continuing there. Check out our forums and follow us on your favorite social channels, Facebook, stuff like that. Tell us which classes you'd like to see next, and sign up for the beta. Thank you.
Thanks for listening.